My name is Kathy Bindle.
Where are you from, Kathy?
I am from Enon, Ohio. I grew up in a home where my very first childhood memory was standing at the edge of the kitchen and my mother telling my dad to choose between me or her in a drunken rage and slapping him across the face. I was raised Catholic, and I remember being forced to get up early on Sunday morning after a night of drinking and arguing and fighting, and being forced to go to church and watching my mother pretend that everything was perfect at our house, and me thinking that, this was all a lie, that like this was not real, and that God couldn't be real, really. And if he was, like, this wouldn't be happening to me. In '99, I had met this man who was 16 years older than I was. And he introduced me to cocaine. And that began my love affair with cocaine. And before I knew it, I was charged with theft and forgery charges. I was sentenced to 18 months in prison in 2001. So when I got out of prison that time, I'm super serious about, like, I'm changing my life, come home, go back to school, I get these degrees, an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, buy my dream home. I have my first and only son. Life is good. I have everything that I want. But, like, on the inside, like, there was this void. And I did not know how to deal with life. I couldn't deal with life. And I resorted back to the only thing that I knew that would stop the emotional pain that I was experiencing in the moment, which was to use. And I didn't go right back to using, like, cocaine. Like, I didn't just say, like, okay, well, I'm just gonna screw up my entire life and just go back and go find some cocaine. Like, it was a gradual thing. Like, the relapse happens long before we ever pick up the drug of choice. I was in an emotional relapse. My thinking had started to change. My priorities started to change. First and foremost, God was not a part of my life. And then, it started with a drink of alcohol. Well, it's legal, everyone does it. And then I started smoking cigarettes. And then, well, I've been successful drinking alcohol. I could stop at the bar like everybody else is doing. But it was that one time at the bar that cocaine was available for me that I did, and it was off to the races. And it was far more severe than any other time in my life. And when I was arrested, they charged me with trafficking cocaine. So here I am, like a social worker, like 10 years after I've been in trouble, like, and I've had all of these accomplishments. Here I am, incarcerated in jail again, charged with possession of and trafficking of cocaine. And I was sentenced after that. I was sentenced to 30 months. When I got to Dayton Correctional Institution, like, this is a whole new ball game. This is like lockup. Like, it's real cells and, like, metal beds and metal toilets and locked doors. And I remember thinking, like, this is it. Like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die here. And I remember sitting, like, the door's shut. I'm in this little tiny space. I'm sitting on this metal toilet. And I look at the floor, and it's the concrete floor, and you can see where the paint has just chipped away, where people have walked back and forth a million times. And I thought to myself, like, you have ruined your entire life. Like, your whole life is over. Like, you have ruined your husband's life. You have left your son. Everyone knows what you've done, and you don't deserve to live. And as a matter of fact, I don't even want to live. I walk into this room at the chapel, and there were these nuns. And like, the sister, Faustina Maria, I'll never forget when she turned around and looked at me and our eyes met. In that very moment, I remember feeling like this sense of peace that came over me. And like in that very moment, I knew that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. That 30-month sentence has been the best thing that has ever happened in my life. That 30-month sentence brought me to Christ in a way that I have never experienced Him in my life. Like, I have come to know the Lord in a way that I wouldn't change one step of this process, because I know Him like I've never known Him before. Like, I can pray to Him and I know that He's with me. Like, the fear that I've had in my life, I am good enough today because of this. In this process, Marty started working at DCI, and I was going to have to miss receiving the sacraments in order to take this class for drug treatment. And Marty fought for me to be able to come and receive the sacraments at DCI. That meant so much to me that, like, no one has ever fought for me to be able to receive my faith. I was released December 27th, 2019. So I left, and probably day 2 or day 3, I'm in this halfway house and my phone rings, and sure enough, it was Marty. Marty called to make sure that I was connected with Parish. He didn't forget me. And he calls me this one day and he says, hey, Kathy, I want to run something by you. And I'm like, yeah, Marty. He's like, I have this idea for this place, like a re-entry house, where people can come out of prison and have a place to stay and continue to grow in their faith and continue to have a place to receive all of the resources that they need. What do you think about that? And I was like, oh my gosh, Marty, yeah, I love it. And he was like, well, do you want to be a part of it? I was like, yeah, I do. The Serenellis Project is a community where a person can experience Christ through a life of prayer, work, service, and recovery. It means second chances, third chances, fourth chances, forever chances. I hope to be able to provide hope to those returning from the prison system. I hope that I'm just an example that if I can do it, if God did it for me, He would definitely do it for someone else. I'm the lowest of the low. I have 4 prison numbers. 4 prison numbers.